Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk about Black Widow and to give my review. This, of course, the latest offering in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the long-awaited solo film with Black Widow, both because it looked like they were never going to make the thing, but the fans wanted it. And then once they made the thing, COVID kept it from coming out when it was originally supposed to, but it finally came out, and I went to see it on opening day in the theater, which was great because I hadn't been there since 2019, I think. Anyway, this is what I'm going to say about the movie. I loved it, and here's why. I've always thought that the best stories are about the human condition. It's what makes Star Trek great. It's what makes so many other films and TV shows and novels and even video games great, is when the story is about the human condition. Since Avengers, in which Natasha first talks about her ledger, how she's got a lot of red on her ledger that she feels like she needs to atone for, her story has been about someone recovering from trauma. We didn't exactly know that, straight out until now, but the hints were there. What we knew at the time, for sure, was that she was struggling with her past. To come to terms with it, to move forward, to make amends, make a difference, and be at peace. So that's a human story. That's a human struggle for real people globally in the real world since time began. In this film, her film, we see the depths of it for her character. She was stolen from her mother and turned into a child assassin by a ruthless criminal via means of mental and physical conditioning that are unthinkable, torturous. She was forced to live with a family of strangers and live a lie for 3 years before being returned to an assassin's life and more ill treatment at the madman's hands, while watching Yelena, an innocent, carefree girl of, 6, that she'd come to care for as a sister, being taken off to the same fate, followed by years of hiding, running, lying, and killing, that she eventually escaped and started trying to change. And we've seen similar stories before: La Femme Nikita, Dollhouse, Elektra, Ultraviolet, Hannah, Kill Bill, Red Sparrow, Resident Evil to a certain degree, all about women who, one way or another, became the agents of others who, struggled with their traumas and with doing things that were not always their choice. Somewhere along the line, things like the things that happened to these women in these movies and shows must have happened to, or must be happening in real life. We know that spies exist. We know that black ops exist in real life. We know that child soldiers exist. We know that different actors, both governmental and non-governmental, deploy people to carry out espionage and assassinations in real life, sometimes, against the will of the people doing it. We also know that human trafficking of both boys and girls, men and women, who were either straight up taken from their families or sold into that life by their families, actually exist in the real world. So, knowing all of that, I think we have to ask, has a place like the Red Room seen in this film existed? Does such a place exist now? Are there men and women out there who went through things and who are living lives similar to those of the widows depicted in this film? It wouldn't be that surprising. And once we know that, this story, Natasha's own story, is very powerful. Now that we know exactly what she lived through, what her adoptive sister Yelena lived through, what her adoptive mother lived through, even her adoptive father, who seems to revel in his role as the Red Guardian, obviously regrets some of what he had to do in that role as it relates to his cover story wife and cover story children. I just thought this movie was great. It's an action movie with great action stuff that's also about people struggling to take their lives back, to overcome trauma, to reclaim or repair their relationships with people they were, close to, who were all part of their trauma and who also experienced that trauma themselves from one side of it or another. People trying to right a horrendous wrong in order to prevent others from going through any more of what they have gone through than those others may already have gone through, and to prevent it from happening to anyone else in the future. Ultimately, all of these characters are survivors, human beings in recovery, striving to be their best selves. I just think it was a well told story, which, by the way, is also bittersweet the whole time because, of course, we already know that Natasha, after going through all of this, after redeeming herself not only by what she does in this film, but by what we know she's done later in the MCU, paid the ultimate price and made the ultimate sacrifice to save billions of lives in Endgame, and is now gone. So it just made it all the more powerful, I think. And the cast is brilliant. Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh are amazing. Rachel Weisz is sublime. David Harbour is also excellent. So the cast did a great job. The thing is that people will criticize this film. People have criticized this film. They say it's overly agenda driven, that it's political and trying to say something about female empowerment to force social change, that it's trying to say something about toxic masculinity, that it's propaganda meant to, scold men and elevate women. There may even be people at Marvel or Disney who've sort of said as much, that it was designed to do that. But to those critics, I would say, okay, well, it was still a very moving story about people who, to me, seemed very real, living through things that probably happen in real life to people. So I'm giving this film 5 stars. The only thing I didn't get about it is that it seems as though Yelena deliberately sent Natasha the anti-mind control gas that they needed in order to free the current Black Widows, as a way to get her involved in helping her do that. But that seemed a little crazy to me. Like, there's this precious thing that you have, which you need in order to help a bunch of people, and you let it out of your sight, even with people that you trust, in order to get it to someone that you are pretty sure you can trust, hoping she'll understand the message that you want her to help and want her to come to Budapest from a strip of shopping mall photo booth pictures. I thought that was kind of silly, but it's a plot device and it's a tiny part of the film, the rest of which is just really great. And the good news is that Yelena's story will seemingly continue in the Hawkeye series, which is coming up soon. And I'm very stoked about that. She did a great job in the part, the actress, and I think the characters are great. So I'm looking forward to that. The only other thing I would say is, don't listen to the haters. And for that matter, don't even listen to me in terms of, oh, it's good. The only thing I would have you listen to me about is that you should go see it and decide for yourself. That's my review of Black Widow. I'll be back with more videos real soon. Until then, as always, I say peace and long life.